sometimes people would say, Emmy, Emmy, what's that, you know? But they saw Neil the way he was, and then when he started trying to get out and they saw the change in him, they realised there was something wrong with him, really wrong with him. So, you know, it wasn't, I mean, even his walking was, his balance was unsteady. So, you know, I remember one lady one time saying to me, if I hadn't known Neil, I would have thought he was drunk when I saw him walking today.
The impact on loved ones is huge. I mean, the sense of guilt you carry at being a burden is terrible. I mean, when I ran my own business, I was the breadwinner. I was the one who was bringing in I was the one who was bringing in the income. I was driving a lot of things forward. Now I can't do that. My wife has been superb. It was fantastic. She's been supportive all the way through. And the kids have been great too. And I must admit, my son is wonderful. I mean, he's 16. Most teenagers tend to be more kind of much more involved in themselves. And of course he has his moments. But he keeps an eye out for me as well.
And I felt at times quite weepy, because I felt, and this is going back now, I felt, why is my life changing when I was perfectly healthy, you know, and we can do things together. So it was quite a difficult time, but my faith took me through that, and my friends took me through it. So it was a good time in the end, but it was hard, very hard.
Agus at sa hana harakimetjen mo over agus lees het al deurst. Gaan je roin ek look fulluk ach vi piao lishid hinis.
For most people, this illness tends to be a condition which they will experience some degree of progress as time goes on. But as I know from personal experience, you get to a point where this progress seems to stop. You hit a sort of glass ceiling, as it were, which people will often describe. They say, oh, I got back to 60, 70% of my normal self, but I just don't seem to get anything beyond that.
To begin with, you think, wait, great, you know, now I know what's wrong with me. I've got chronic fatigue or I've got ME. But then what? Well, then go away and live with it.
Hwyd Kim goro tokal gilef na chwtiochaga an a fi lorak driach gŵr na berekriche edrych niri spionlieke.
After sort of feeling like that was it for a while, then there comes a point, I think, it's like you sort of wake up and go, well, I'm still not dead. I suppose I'm going to have to carry on living. And that's really where the photography came in. It's an area which you can have control over. And when you feel very much out of control of your life, having something which you feel you can take control of becomes very important. And I love faces, I love the landscape of them, I love the expression of them, I love the way people inhabit their faces. And my photography just became more and more honed in on faces. And so then I thought, well, okay, let's do portrait photography. And so I set up a portrait photography business. Now, it's basically part-time because I don't have the energy to do it full-time, but I can build it around my energy levels. I make sure that I do shots in the morning or in the evening. I build the business, I build what I'm doing around the lack of energy. And so this is my way of dealing with it, my way of coping with it. And, you know, things move forward.
27 years on, is it 27? I get so mixed up. I still have ME. I've had many ups and downs. I describe myself now as moderate with severe dips. I'm no longer severe, I'm not bedridden. I'm probably housebound 2 or 3 days a week in that I can't go out every day and function and do stuff. I have to still very much pace myself. I feel like I'm like a constant calculator, constantly measuring out, like you were coming today, so yesterday nothing, had to rest all day. Tomorrow I'll be completely done in. So, but it's so second nature to me now. I don't even think about it. That's just the way my life is. And like anyone with any chronic Illness, you adapt and you normalise.
Hwyd na sim cwtioch doi crwchal y chwtich I lefi sapat yn tinnis. An y 2009 gael si chi chiert novelachge The State of Me. Adish urskillach man vachtlich geheen dus in tinnis.
I hadn't been on a bike for years. I knew that my legs would be ruined the next day, but I didn't want to let Ivan down. You can stop and rest as soon as you want, he said, as we got off the ferry and walked towards the Velos for hire. There was a hill right at the start. I'll never get up this, I said. There's no way I can pedal, I'll need to walk. Lean on your bike, said Ivan, use it like a Zimmer. Don't make me laugh, I said. I can't push and laugh at the same time. So I really decided I wanted to write about my illness, but I wanted it to be a fictionalised account. I did not want to write my story of my illness because that kind of genre of sicklet had been done to death, and I wanted a book that was accessible to everyone, not just people with the illness or carers. Sometimes I go to the careers office. I feel in awe of all the opportunities, looking through the toy shop window at treasures I can never have. Glittering jobs, glamorous placements, exotic master's degrees. I always check, but there are no jobs for 4 hours a week. I hope certainly that it's successful in that it gets the absolute hell of the illness across, but it's also quirky and there's a lot of black humour in it. It's not self-pitying. I didn't want, some dreadful 500 pages of self-pity. People can get many illnesses. ME is not the only illness, but the thing that makes this illness different is the lack of belief and the misrepresentation, and that's what I feel extremely angry about still.
The nial had the gas cushion na bear itydd.
A doctor in the Polish yn y growing son thing a ye nachal gyma agos chami chwchwn mi a mi egys yn ywedd na ga agos dyrys ma yedd hwda haid ma hwda na gyrwffus ag am hyn sy'n thach nach bwrw gawalash gobyd ydysht agos caffi mi'n mygddiach gael gael siachad tron drwy dyfar hyn ys y faram. Agos sy'n man hachad. Wel fo, niw, fo la gala, bimdol mach son cwrst, ti'n mynd i baltyn an y sio. Hadys na blianach yn a cwrst ffas nas... Anel cwrst yn chw ffaddas y chlefad, na hannes yn sio, nosach. Ach, ama ffain amach, sgwydol ti'n mynd a cwsyn fi gyma dwlich ar na blianach yn. Ach, gwyddoedd fi'n y byfys. Fy mi taich fwr, fy mi fen, fy mi chlawn, agos na hoian, agos sy'n magad iddaf, agos a mewn sio hast.
De Gallison chai cushion na bear a chan oorsan na bewissen.
Yn hyn sag, fy mi ni ffas na siar ys jai cored daflione. Fy pisach mwr yn eisiau aram, agos fy mi ni fan yr asgo i dde gwbeth na my fanollt rym yr eist, agos fy siorgi an y môr an ffi fy neidjan. Fy mi ni sgwth e pilich yn y fy mi gol, agos fy mi smioch gyda ma fi. Gyma ffas gris yw'r da fa mas dan I gyn hynnes. Stoch sŵasgo 80%. So mi ffaddoch fi'n gymat oil, agos nôs yn hannig rwyd yn eler na ma fi. Fos mi, agos fa ianw ac agos na rwyd yna sy'n get y fad ma, so hwb y car, ach fa oeddech yn lo, agos gyma fwa straen rwyd yn sy'n horsich yn hynnes y tîn aram.
Agos ha Sean iddasiag ffyrddwm, agos y gymen yn oedd eilym.
Hering yn tennig slancha agos syrsaf yn chinius o'r y gaicher, nyr ac mi'n olhau. Hybr yn ho eintio gymunedioch mae'r chaim yn ffewas, ach gynro tyych corm ac a fi dol am mwy a bhí Gian an níchan at réalachte. Agus chuid tíireach gun nach bromí fiheh sanú náit fat na húna. Ham na sé ferch gin go bhfuil mí cho láir sa bha mí riamh. Ach chatéananig sin orm go lua. Ha mí ferch gin mar a bha mí in éidir bheith 90%. Nuair a chaimín fewas an táiseach. Ach har a bhliana a station raim mé tuig agus tuigech gur sich agus bha mí céinteach gon buring go dal an fewas go dhéir agus ha mé smuoicin gin tuig sin cóir go gon buring go na néchan a dhéanamh mar raim iad agus mé dhearach hall buring go an un hearsa rúta dhéanamh a raim mé musró emiacham.
As y darn y páist gan dŵl ag Trusadh yd mi, clyn sy'n folwch science a ha gwybod yd y genius.
I think one of the most important phrases in this area is I don't know. And I think anyone who claims to have a clear understanding of what happens when someone goes into an ME state really ought to think twice.
It became abundantly crystal clear that several of the patients had developed the syndrome, the identical syndrome, but they had developed the syndrome not following a viral infection or another infection, but due to their reaction to a particular form of stress.
Like many doctors, I thought this was either a non-existent illness or was all hysterical nonsense. I was at medical school in the early 1970s. I was taught by my superiors that this was in actual fact hysterical nonsense.
Agus, bysyn y lentyn Alison agus Kim, zat het al vollistige kounsbittig a ge groege let dochtad alapenach.
I think anything that helps anyone is good. If you're looking to recover from it, then I'm afraid the recommended treatment currently of CBT and pacing doesn't make sense even in the studies.
Am I nog eens nach gaan op zich ja. So, ag op zich zo. She heert dingen, wie men am heert dingen wie skies gaan hoe dingen er met je shows begeulen. Schön, we werden goed mag gemoor.
There is a reasonable degree of evidence that acupuncture can help with pain. On the other hand, I feel much more cautious and much more reluctant to recommend to a patient that they should go off and spend, say, £500 on some sort of new talking therapy for ME, which has not been subjected to any form of clinical trial.
So far, the establishment is just saying, go away and live with it, and if you want antidepressants, here they are. The establishment and the way things go at the moment hasn't served me. So I'm getting on with it as best as I can. And if it all fails, if this doesn't work, well then, yeah, I'm back to square one, and I'm going to feel a bit foolish. If it does work, then I'll be skipping down the road.
Córa se ha bethe frísanich coloch. Gwail chamaun mar a bhích dúil an sa frísan seo. Elan farnach el selen, camerain, no fiús fensichen sonna frísanich a chamaling réim. Cursant maha nach bí dingeach a fiaching di Tschechig. Sailse, frísan Elan Bastoi, Jordain ag naug a ddalabe.
Ac o'r ymwneud drama Elvis yn llun llawn leir i gydych yn dras dy sio cwtyd y capi.